For us, the biggest challenge that we face is obviously the growth of traffic. For us, the amount of content that's been flowing through the network needs to be addressed. So what we look towards NFV and SDN is emerging technologies that actually may solve the problem that we're facing. So when I look at NFV from a Telstra perspective, the areas that we're sort of mainly focusing on is around control, dynamic access, and how can NFV and SDN help us with that? How can they help with the reconvergence of transmission and IP? What can they do with IoT and 5G? So for us, we've got to look towards how this industry can actually take on those challenges. We look at three things. We look to see what is the industry and where is the technology the industry is developing. We look to see how then Telstra needs to apply that technology and how we need to operate it and manage it going forward. And the third thing we look to see is there something that may create new products or offerings that we can offer our customer base. What we're attempting here to do, and I think what HP really helped us with, was that we brought the best of breed technologies together. So we didn't just rely on HP. HP helped us with bringing F5 to the party, Alcatel-Lucent with Nuage, and then we looked at delivering a full layer 7 stack of solution that provided value-added services through service orchestration. So that was the main thing we wanted to get out of it.
Well, the proof of concept with Telstra, with our partners F5 and Alcatel-Lucent, we very much decided to adopt the ETSI reference architecture model. So this diagram depicts the ETSI reference architecture model, the various components of the model as called out by ETSI, and the components that each of the partners brought to the POC. So as you can see from the logos down the bottom, HP brought the virtual infrastructure layer, including the compute hardware, the storage, the networking components, and the virtual infrastructure manager and the orchestration layer that goes with that. Top right-hand corner, HP also brought along a product called NFV Director, which worked as the overall NFV orchestrator itself. Obviously, having this automated environment is great, but you need services to be able to provide to the end customers themselves, and in this case, they're in the form of network services. And for that, we asked F5 to provide a range of different VNFs or virtual network functions to the environment, and they brought their entire portfolio of services that used to be physical appliances and are now offered today in virtual editions. Those services themselves obviously have to be connected to networks, and they could be the virtual networks we create, but also the existing physical networks that make up the Telstra's customer network. And for that, we went to Alcatel-Lucent and their Nuage suite, and we asked them to bring the SDN overlay products from that Nuage suite into the environment so that we could connect the F5 services over the virtual network, the existing physical network, so that the customer could enjoy those services and Telstra could offer new products to those particular customers. So what we tried to do in the proof of concept itself was actually look at it from a Telstra customer perspective and how it could change the services that Telstra was able to offer its customers. So here's a very simple diagram of a Telstra managed network services customer with a couple of sites. They have the managed network, but you can see from the top right-hand corner that they don't have connection to the internet. Now, of course, most customers would prefer a connection to the internet for the virtual private network. And so with the capability of NFV SDN and working together with F5 and Alcatel, we're actually able to demonstrate to Telstra how this could become a self-serve automated environment where the customers could actually request and have activation and fulfillment of the services themselves, rather than having to wait for Telstra to deploy truck rolls to actually have it occur. In this particular case, we have a range of services on the right-hand side, and these particular services in this case were provided by F5. We have a range of choices from firewall, denial of service attack prevention, load balancing with the service, deep packet inspection, some security options. And what we're going to do here is we're going to simply request a firewall to be created. When we drag and drop onto the managed network, we can actually expose some simple elements to the customer where they might actually change some of the parameters that affect the monthly price of what they pay, and then ask for the service to be fulfilled and activated. And in a virtual world, it's as simple as that. The service is now created. The managed network customer now has connection to the internet. Now, the other thing is, of course, that we want to be able to introduce new services. So in this particular case, we're looking at it and we can see that the end user customers are actually visiting sites that we don't want to have them visit. And lucky for us, F5 actually offer filtering services where we can establish profiles that allow us to block or ban certain sites. So what we're going to do as the network administrator is we're actually going to request a filtering service, and we're going to drag and drop that into our environment. We might have some simple profiles that are set. And in this case, we're happy with the default profile, which will block certain sites we don't want the end users going to, and that's inserted into the service chain. So now we have the managed network going through a filtering service provided by F5, out through a firewall protecting us from the outside world, out to the internet itself. Now, one of the other challenges that customers regularly do is they add sites, they remove sites, or they physically move them. And with the Alcatel Nuage suite offering, they have a product called VNFs that enables us to bring new sites into play very quickly, or to move those sites. They could go over the managed VPN network, or actually over the internet itself. What we end up doing is requesting that a small physical appliance be shipped in by parcel service to that particular end site. We know the characteristics and credentials of that particular device, but we still want to take a number of security precautions. So once we know that the end device has been delivered, we actually request through our self-serve portal as a customer the connection of this new site into the environment itself. Again, we have a couple of parameters we set, and we start a two-factor authentication process. This process will actually send an email to the end user, who will type in a key from that email. They'll then be sent an SMS, and from that SMS, they put that into the device itself, and it will actually authenticate, launch the service, and connect it. And so now I have a very secure connection into my private network in a new location. Simple as that.
We have a strong heritage of looking after not just creating technology, but then managing it through its full life cycle. And one of the first considerations we need to do in using partners like HP for is to look at how we can actually do that management. Orchestration's, I think, key. I think the ability for us, and when we look forward, we look towards the medium and the longer term. And our roadmap must actually take into account the whole operation and organisational way that we actually deploy SDN and NFV. We're rich in heritage in the sense that we actually have, managed platforms and infrastructure for nearly over a century for us. And therefore, we look towards building our roadmaps to incorporate SDN and NFV, or at least the infrastructure and the ecosystem around SDN and NFV going forward. One of the most important things, I think, though, is how do we continue to evolve this industry, and how does open standards actually play out? We look towards HP to make sure that they help us with understanding that. They help us, guide us through, and actually help being one of our partners that we actually can contribute to an open environment. And I think if we do that, then the whole industry can progress and move forward.